Hey peeps and peepettes, it's time for
Torah in the kitchen.
Pesach edition. Get ready, we're doing some Hagala today.
We are going to kasher our kalim, our utensils. It's hard to do the angles.
Rabbi Bauer, can you tell us why you're wearing goggles and a hat like that?
Well, we need to be very safe as we kasher some stuff.
We highly recommend goggles, safety hats, raincoats, rain boots.
You need protective gear, rain boots, a lot of protective gear, and obviously a helmet in order to protect us from any potential splash zone, as it were.
Would you say oven mitts are a necessity?
Oven mitts might be the only thing that you actually would need in order to do this because you want to be safe, and oven mitts are the way to do it because we're going to be boiling some water in these two large pots. The way that it's going to work is we're going to fill them with water, set them to boil, and then we are going to do what's called a hagalat kelim, or the boiling of our utensils, so that we can get all of the chametz, the leaven, the non-kosher for Passover stuff out of those utensils. Now we're going to fill up this pot with water. Get excited.
If you have to show them the mess that's next to the pot, we got to get better camera angles. There we go. Okay. Anyways, once you have your protective gear and you have your water-filled pot, you want to make sure, do you want to take the thingies? Tongs. See the tongs? Yeah, the tongs. Okay, you want to make sure you have tongs that are small enough to hold things, big enough that it won't, you won't be too close to the pot of hot water. I don't think
this might take a while. All right, this is filled with water, but that water is
basically the top.
Got it filled almost to the top, and now we put the burner on, covering. While we wait for the water to boil, we're also going to cover our countertops.
Oh man, I ripped the tin foil.
What we're doing is covering our countertops in tin foil. We have Formica countertops, and a lot of rabbis say that you cannot make your Formica countertops kosher. It is a debate,
but okay. I overestimated.
But we're covering them. Okay. The
okay,
water
tape
is
me. I'm ready.
We are taping.
No. I mean, pass me the tape.
Oh, okay. We're gonna tape down these foil strips so that way we can cover our countertop. This is watching a pot boil.
All right, people, this is getting exciting. Okay, show them. I can't. We're both wearing mitts. How are we supposed to live? Look at that. It looks like it's about to explode.
Hopefully
so many bubbles. Your ear would say bubbles.
All right, we've now got it to a rolling boil. That's the important part. Is it has to be not just boiling, it's got to be in a rolling boil.
Which means
that, where it's bubbling over, and that is a really important part. That's actually, part of that's important so that way it can make the pot itself kosher, but also in order to get whatever's in those utensils out. Very, very important. So.
Do we have to put something in it? For it to spill over?
Yeah, we also lost our rolling boil.
We did?
Yeah.
We lost our rolling boil. Where'd it go?
Okay.
We're rolling.
We are rolling. So now, in order to kasher the pot itself, we're pouring a little bit of boiling water. You have to be very careful when doing this. I should have lowered my goggles. This is already boiling water.
Would you put the goggles? This is highly embarrassing. Whoa.
You gotta make sure that it bubbles over all parts of the pot.
Make sure all your children are stored away in their beds when doing this. Okay, next stop, we drop the tongs in.
All right, I have to
readjust. Not sure how we're getting them back out again.
My goggles. Hold on. We had a plan for this.
We did have a plan. Wait, it's not all the way in. You have to make sure everything gets all the way in. Careful. Oh my God, you put the Band-Aid. That's why we wear mitts, people.
Now, the truth is that in a situation where you have something that is too big to be dipped all in at the same exact time, what you can do is you dip in part, and then you put in the other part. Now, the problem is that right now our water is cooled off. All right, we're back to a rolling boil. That's a rolling boil. Those are tongs.
We're going to try this again, people. Think it'll fit if we do it this way? No, definitely not. Okay, let's get the knife ready. So, we're going to put the first half in. Take out. Flipperoo, people.
Okay. Now, we rinse off cold.
Now, we can't just dump all this in at once. We have to do it a few at a time so that all of them totally are covered in water.
Now, also, if you do them all at the same time, then that will take away your boil, and that will not be any good.
Dig it out. It's easier said than done.
Now we're going to rinse it off in cold water.
Going in with the next one. I might have to flip that one.
So the basic principle that we're working with is called kibolo kach polto. The way that the either non-kosher or chametz or whatever it is went in.
Don't do that.
The way that the stuff went in and got absorbed into the utensil or into the pot, that's the way that it comes out, which is why if you normally use your pots for boiling stuff, the way of getting whatever's in them out would be through boiling. I'm going to take over now so Zahava doesn't hurt herself.
Here, I'll take it out. No, I'm not taking it out. You're taking it out. I'm putting it out. I'm trying to be more gentle. Okay, would you like to explain to everybody why we started out with 2 pots and then ended up with 1 pot?
No, I would not.
You have to have your pots perfectly clean.
I'm pretty sure I'm
trading all these up. 24 hours. What?
I'm pretty sure I'm trading all them up by dropping them on this thing.
What? Oh, because it dropped on. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to make sure your pot is perfectly clean, and then you wait 24 hours to do hagala. Also, all your silverware, anything you're doing hagala with, needs to be clean, and then you wait 24 hours in order to actually do the hagala. Turns out that pot was not clean. Gross. Okay, I think I put in a few for you.
Turns out also these might be the worst tongs in history. I can't get a hold of anything. They keep falling off.
Maybe, do we have other tongs?
We're going to check. All right. Now, as we're doing this process, you're probably wondering, what other Torah can we teach you or learn with you than how to kasher things? Well, Zahava's got this one.
Well, no, it's just interesting that just as in halacha, water is purifying, so too in Tanakh, water is kind of like a symbolic rebirth. Really in all of literature, but guess where they got it from?
Do you want to give an example of how it's a rebirth?
Well, yeah, I mean, really anytime you see major water in the Torah, it's meant to symbolize some form of rebirth. Like, I was thinking, when Hashem created the world, you see, we don't really know what tohu vavohu is, right? Like what this mishkabobble was that the world was in. But it keeps saying throughout creation that, like, the waters had to be moved there, and the waters had to be moved. Like, it had to be that the world was just, like, flowing with waters, and then Hashem was like, water, move aside, we're making a world here. So it's like, even just the birth of the world was in water.
Interesting. And then the birth of the nation for the Jewish people, when we leave Egypt.
Well, now, hold on. Now you're jumping the gun here, because what about the Mabul? Right? The flood. The flood was the rebirth of humankind when God's like, y'all are failing. We need to start over again.
Is that how he said it?
That's likely how he said it. He often speaks with an accent like that. And so, he's like, we got to start the world over again. We're going to make a huge flood. 40 days and 40 nights it's going to rain. Which, right, it was this whole rebirth of the world. And then you have, obviously, the Jewish people leaving Mitzrayim. And what's so crazy is that the area where they went through where they did Kriyas Yamsuf, where they walked through, when they walked through the water, they didn't even cross the whole water. They just went through a piece of it. Mm-hmm. So in a way, they probably didn't even have to go through water. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
You get so excited about the Torah.
I know.
About the kitchen.
Oh, Lord. Now, getting really excited. Okay, so they didn't even have to go through the Yam Suf. Like, it seems like Hashem specifically wanted them to go through water so that it was some form of rebirth, and it had this kind of moment of, creation, where, like, you're going through water to be created.
Very cool. I will note also, just in terms of the koshering point, all of these utensils have been checked to make sure they're actually clean before you put them in, because you can't just put them straight into the hot water. You have to make sure that they are also clean of all debris, any kind of bits, any kind of gross stuff.
Hence the pot we couldn't use today.
Also to make sure we're maintaining a rolling boil as all this is happening.
So should we wait a second? Wow, the whole pot is shaking.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Okay, cool. Can you get all those at once?
No.
Now you missed one. He thinks he's so macho.
That is not true.
Well, guys, we did it.
And that's the way the cookie does not crumble anywhere near our stuff.
That's exactly right. Don't get near this Jewish mama with any of your cookies.
Everyone, have a Chag Kasher Sameach.
Sameach!
Happy Passover to one and all.
And by the way, if we can do it, you can do it.
Join us next time on some deluxe matzah edition of Torah
In the kitchen.